Most women are told that during perimenopause, we're going to slow down, gain weight, and feel exhausted all the time. But what if that's not true? What if this is the time in life when you feel stronger and healthier and more vibrant than ever? In this video, I'm going to be sharing my exact strategy to 10x my health so that I can thrive through perimenopause. So keep watching if you're interested in this. For those that don't know me, hi there, I'm Meg Fitzgill. I am a functional nutritionist. I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm a wife, and I am a 46-year-old woman going through perimenopause. And I have decided to take this year to really focus in on my health and 10x my health. I'm really excited to document this and to share it with you, and hopefully to encourage you if you are going through perimenopause as well and have thought that life is over and that your health is over during this time. And I hope to be sharing with you practical tips to help you be able to 10x your health as well. So join me for the journey. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 4 things that I have done already just to set myself up for natural health. And then I'm going to share 4 new things that I have added this year to try to improve my health. Before we dive into all of the different strategies, though, I want to remind you what 10x means. So this comes from the book, 10x is easier than 2x. And what it says is that when you are 10xing any area of your life, you're not working at it 10 times harder or making it like go, go, go. Instead, what it is you identify the things that aren't working for you, take that out, and then you go all in on the things that are working for you. So there are 4 things that a few years ago I realized were not helping my health, and I took them out. So I want to start here just in case you are brand new to a natural health lifestyle. So the first thing that I realized that wasn't working for me was waking up in the morning and then immediately turning on my phone and scrolling through Instagram or Facebook or checking my emails. I realized that that was really a way to set up my day for failure because it started me off taking in other people's contents, other people's ideas, other people's priorities. And instead, what I started doing was getting up, taking care of, a few things you got to take care of when you first wake up, but then after that, coming downstairs and working out. And so this really has helped me. Initially, it was just try to work out for 10 minutes a day. Last year, I got really into making sure I was strength training 3 times a week at a minimum. And then at some point, I was strength training 5 times a week. And now I'm kind of finding the good balance that works for me. But really, moving my body first thing in the day before I'm even fully awake has really helped me get it done. So if I say that I'm going to put it off until lunchtime or I'm going to put it off until after work, a lot of times once lunchtime rolls around, I'm too busy, don't even have time for lunch, got to continue working. Or by the end of the day, I'm too tired. And so it's like I have all of these excuses where if I do it first thing in the morning before I can talk myself out of it, it's so much easier. So that's my first recommendation. If you're not already doing this, stop giving your phone priority in the morning. Give yourself, your body priority in the morning and move your body first thing. So the second thing I did was I stopped eating processed foods. And I'll be honest, I'm not 100% out of eating processed foods, but cut back significantly. And I really have been doing this for a long time, close to 10 years now. I think I was introduced to Whole30 and Paleo back around 2013 and started playing around with it and kind of dipping my toe in it. But that has been huge for me. So eating real food that my body knows what to do with, that my body recognizes, has been so helpful for me and has improved my life by leaps and bounds. It also is the reason why I quit my corporate job and got into functional nutrition to begin with, because it truly changed my life for the better, and I want to do the same for others. So again, if you haven't done this step yet, if you've never considered that your body doesn't actually recognize these foods that have ingredients lists with a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't make sense, then start there. Start by just starting to eat real food. So this is food like chicken breast. It doesn't need a list of ingredients, right? Because it's a chicken. Or maybe it's an apple. Again, we don't need a list of ingredients. And of course, a lot of times when I'm cooking, I'll do chicken and I'll add seasoning and I'll add some olive oil. So there does end up being a list of ingredients, but it's all stuff that my body recognizes. And that's really what I recommend you do. So the third thing that I did and that I realized I needed to prioritize was investing in myself and figuring out what was going on with my gut. And so investing both money and doing lab testing and then investing in then taking the actions needed once I knew what was going on with my gut. And I am a little bit privileged here as a functional nutritionist. I'm able to do my own labs and I do labs for clients. But that has been a game changer as well, because now I'm not doing the random thing that somebody online recommended that fixed their gut because they had, let's say, candida. I knew specifically what my issues were. I know specifically what foods I need to avoid. And that has been a game changer as well. So if you can afford that, I highly recommend you do that. If you're interested, I do offer free 30-minute consults. So feel free to schedule that with me as well. I'll have a link in the description of this video for that. So the fourth thing I did, and this is probably the hardest thing I did, again, I did this probably close to 10 years ago, but I gave up my beloved, which was Diet Coke, and replaced it with water. And so I for sure was addicted to Diet Coke. It's crazy. Of all the foods I've given up, it's still the hardest thing I've ever given up, and still the thing that I occasionally, 10 years later, still crave every now and then. And I have not had a sip. I don't plan on having a sip because I'm just scared it's going to suck me back in. But I replaced it with water. And so I think most of us know that we're supposed to be drinking water every day. Our bodies are literally made up 70 to 80% of water. And so drinking water makes a huge difference. So I generally carry my big Stanley around with me, as cliche as it is, but it does make it easy to drink your water. And I personally aim to get over half my body weight in fluid ounces of water a day. And this is really what everybody's goal should be. So if you've never heard this before, what you want to do is take your body weight. So let's say, just to make math easy, that you weigh 200 pounds. You want to take half of that in fluid ounces, and that's your goal. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you would want to drink 100 fluid ounces of water, which Stanley is 40 ounces, so you'd want 2.5 of these at a minimum every day. If there's days where you're sweating more, or let's say you live in Texas like I do, where it's crazy hot in the summers and so you're outdoors a lot, then you're going to want to drink even more than that. But that's really the goal. And I always tell clients, work your way up slowly. That seems really overwhelming for people. Also, if you're drinking a whole bunch of other drinks like I was, like it was sadly pretty easy for me to drink that much Diet Coke at one point in my life. But replacing those other drinks with water is going to make a huge difference for you as well. So that's the 4 health habits that I already had established that I do think were foundational to where I am today, as I am in perimenopause and continuing to focus on my health. All right. So now that we've gone through some of the foundational things I've done to get myself healthy, let's talk about 4 things that I have incorporated in 2025. And I'll be honest with you guys, I am learning as I go. And so I am not married to these 4 things, although we're close to the end of the first quarter of 2025 and they're really working well for me. So I probably am going to continue to do these 4 things and then add on more after this. The very first thing that I decided to really focus on in 2025 is moving more. So I wear an Oura ring, and while Oura is known for tracking sleep, it actually also tracks things like my movement and my step count. And I realized that on average, especially on days where I was working a lot, like today where I'm sitting here talking to a camera, I barely move. So I live in a small home. I primarily work from home. When I do go into the office, other than the walk from the parking garage into the office, I'm really not walking very much. And so I was averaging between 2,000 and 3,000 steps a day, which is not very much. And I'm sure you've heard before people talking about walking 10,000 steps. Interesting side story about that. The 10,000 step was actually, it was a marketing idea. So it wasn't science backed originally. But the 10,000 character in Japanese looks kind of like a walking man. And so that's why they did that. The latest studies show that ideally you want to be walking between 7,000 and 8,000 steps. But definitely, if you're walking 10,000 steps, awesome, even better. But the goal initially, anyway, is 7,000 to 8,000. So I was less than half of that on an average day, unless I just happened to go for a long walk that day as my exercise. So 2025, I have committed to walking more. And I decided to start with 7,000 steps because that was still double the amount of steps that I was already taking. And so every single day I have aimed to hit my 7,000 steps. The other thing I decided to do, and this is science backed as well, is not to do a huge long walk and have that be it. But really, the goal is to move your body throughout the day. And so I am trying to, kind of my goal is to do 3 10-minute walks after every major meal. And so go for a walk after breakfast, a walk after lunch, a walk after dinner. And that obviously doesn't always work out that way because, you know, life gets in the way. But I am taking a minimum of 2 walks a day. And that has been really good for me. Or I will even in the middle of the day just kind of get up and walk around my living room. Or if I have a client that I'm talking on the phone with, instead of sitting at my computer, I'll get up and walk around and, pause and take notes as needed. But that has really helped me get my step goal. So I started in January with 7,000 steps, and I decided every month until it feels like it's not working for my life, I'm going to add 250 steps. So 7,000 in January, 7,250 in February, and then in March, 7,500. And I'm going to keep on just slowly increasing the steps. And by far, January was the hardest because it was a huge shift from where I started. But now that I'm just adding 250 steps every month, it's gotten a lot easier. So if I continue with this, I will hit 10,000 steps by the end of 2025 on a daily basis. We'll see how it works. We'll see what happens. So I'll keep you guys informed on that. But I really like being intentional about moving throughout the day. So not just one long walk. And I really feel like it has made a difference for my stress level, my body. There's definitely some changes happening there. So recommend it, give it a try. So the next thing I decided to do was really focus on gut health. So like I mentioned before, I've done a lot of gut testing, and I'm continuing throughout this to do gut testing as well. But one of the things that latest science shows and research shows is that you really want to aim for 30 different plant foods every single week. And so I thought it would be a really fun challenge to see if I could do it. And again, not perfect, have not done it every week, but it's been really interesting to challenge myself to get 30 different plant foods. So when I say plant foods, I am talking specifically about fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Technically, grains fall within plant foods as well, but I feel like that would be too easy to get me off track. And I know for my body, a lot of grains just don't suit me well. So I'm not including grains. So I'm just doing those 4 categories of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. And it's been really fun. I keep a running note in my phone and just jot down the different fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds as I go through the week. A lot of times, if we go out to eat, I will try to pick something on a menu that I might not have at home, just so that I can get, another thing on my list. And I definitely have not hit it every week, but I know that it's good for me, and I'm really proud of myself on the weeks that I do hit it. I also have found some workarounds too. So like making my own trail mix so that I can get a good mix of nuts and seeds. Things like that have helped as well. Stir fries, another really great way to get this goal. But it's been fun for me. I've kind of gamified it by keeping track of it every week, and I know it's doing my gut health good. So recommend doing that as well. So the next one honestly has been hard, but not as hard as I thought it was going to be. And that is cutting back on alcohol. I know alcohol is not good for me. It is poison, right? But I do love a glass of wine every now and then. But I realized I didn't need to have a glass of wine every single day. And I definitely didn't need to have half a bottle of wine every single day, which there have been phases in my life where I have done that and had more. And so what I decided to do with alcohol is I am not drinking alcohol 2 days in a row. And so if I know that I'm going to have happy hour with my girlfriends on Friday, then I know that I'm not going to be drinking any alcohol on Thursday or on Saturday. And because I don't have events coming up every single day, it ends up that I'm drinking significantly less alcohol, just in case something fun pops up and I want to have a glass of alcohol. So, yeah, I'm doing that and I feel really good about it. I also, because I lead a group coaching program on a quarterly basis, I have gone through a 21-day period where I just didn't have any alcohol because that was part of the anti-inflammatory plan we were following. So I've actually gone longer without alcohol than I had initially intended. But in the times where I'm not specifically focusing on taking out alcohol as well as other things, it's made a huge difference to have this no 2 days in a row rule. So I recommend applying that as well. So the fourth thing that I've really been focused on in this quarter is managing my stress. So a little bit about my health history. I got into health and wellness and my own personal health journey because I really struggled with being pre-diabetes and not being able to reverse it. And every year I would go to the doctor, they would do my blood work, and then they would tell me, you have pre-diabetes and you can get on medication or you can eat right and exercise. And every time I was like, I'm going to try this eat right and exercise thing. And so I kept on trying different versions of eating right and exercising. And it became pretty clear to me that I had no clue what I was doing, because every year I would go back and get my blood work done. I wasn't any better. I was still pre-diabetic. And it wasn't until I hired a functional nutritionist that she was able to identify that my blood sugar dysregulation was actually tied to my stress management. And the more I could get my stress under control, the more I could get my blood sugar under control. And over again in my health journey, I have realized that stress really impacts my body. And so, again, this is where the Aura Ring is amazing. Not sponsored, but I would love to be sponsored by Aura if they want to give me money. But I do absolutely love this tool. And so the Aura Ring is best known for helping track sleep, but it also tracks your stress levels in your body, which is so fascinating to see what causes stress for me and what doesn't. And along with that, I know that my hormones cause increased stress at certain times of the month. And so even though I, for years, have told clients about using your hormone cycle tracking to be able to figure out the best time to do things, I never really implemented it. And 2025 is the year I am paying attention to my hormones. I am planning everything based on my hormones. And wouldn't you know, this is when perimenopause would sneak up and do some crazy things for me. So the big thing that perimenopause has done recently in my life is it has totally knocked out my very regular cycle. So I used to be every 23, 24 days, I would start my cycle. And for the last 2 months, it's been like over 30 days. And so that's been an interesting thing to learn about. And all of the things I've planned over the next few months now don't really matter because it's not going to sync up with my cycle. But I am still really paying attention to my cycle and understanding when I'm going to have more stress in my cycle, and therefore trying to adjust my days and adjust my tasks as best I can. And so it's made me more in tune with my body. It's made me more aware of what's happening in my body. And I think that has been super helpful and beautiful for me as well. So if you've never tracked your cycle, definitely start there, especially if you have a regular cycle, or not regular cycle, but if you're not in perimenopause yet, start tracking at that point, because then you'll really be able to identify when things start to shift and change, and you'll know that like your body's going through this change. So I recommend doing that. And like I said, it has not been as successful as I thought it would be because my body is changing, but that is part of the lesson, right? So I'm still grateful that I'm doing it and that I'm being in tune with my body as best I can, even though I can't really predict what's going on. That is what I am focused on currently for 10xing my health. I probably am going to add a few things in Q2 of 2025, so stay tuned. Make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel so that you can get the recordings coming forward and keep track of what I'm doing. And I really want to encourage you, if you're in this stage of life as well, join me. Let me know what you're doing. Let me know if you implement any of the things that I've recommended here. I'd love to hear how it's going for you. And I really look forward to connecting with you.